Hello and welcome everybody to Guitar Lessons here at Musicians Edition. I'm the resident guitarist here. My name is Evan and I'm going to be covering an introduction to chords, which is going to include the caged system in this lesson today. These are the most common chord shapes that are out there. This is going to be the C, A, G, E, D, most commonly played, easiest to play as well too. If you are still a beginner who's just working on playing some simple single notes, you might find some of these chord shapes a bit difficult to play, really depending on the strength and size of your hands there to see if you can play all these chords. If you are struggling with them, don't worry, they'll come with time as you get more practice playing these things. But this is the coolest part about playing guitar, because this is the easiest thing you can learn, if you can get it down, that'll make you sound like a passable guitar player even if you are just a beginner. Because we're covering 5 chords here, and these 5 chords are very common in a lot of songs, so if you can play them well, you can sound like a pretty good guitarist. So let's just start with what is a chord, first of all. To be a good guitarist, you don't need to know music theory too much. You just have to kind of know a few chord shapes and play around a little bit. But for us, let's understand just what a chord is. A chord is when you play 2 or more notes at the same time. And on guitar, you usually play more than that. If you are playing chords, it could be all 6 strings, maybe just 5, maybe just 4, or it could be less than that too. Any of those things would be called chords. And chords can be either major or minor. That's what we call them. The major chords are happier sounding, a bit more pleasant. The minor chords are going to have a bit more tension to them or sound a bit darker to them. And so every note on the piano, on the guitar, on anything can have a major and a minor chord to it. And we're not going to pay too much attention to those things in this. This is just our basic introduction, just so you know that. And so when you do read chords to a song, you can see what the difference is between them and make sure you are playing the right one. We're covering just 5 simple chords today. We'll get into more of that complex stuff in later lessons. So a chord is the harmony that's going to be going underneath the melody that's in a song. And that melody can be played by another instrument like guitar. You could have a riff, and under that riff you have chords being played. Or more commonly, how we're going to be doing this is just you have a vocal melody that is sung. Underneath that vocal melody is chords played by a guitar. That's the biggest thing we'll go into. Now, without further ado, let's do these caged chords. So caged is the acronym. This is a C, A, G, E, D chords that we're all going to be playing. And learning to play guitar as a beginner, you might have heard the gimmick. Learn these 4 chords, learn these 3 chords, learn these 5 chords, you can play hundreds of songs. Is that true? Surprisingly, it kind of is true, because so many songs are written with these simple chord shapes. They might just be played a little bit higher up on the guitar. If you have a capo, you could just attach that on and you could play it in the exact tuning that a song might be in. But just knowing these chord shapes really does make it easier for you to play a bunch of songs. So that's why we're starting with these ones. And because they're the easiest ones to play. You do not have to worry about bar chords, where you have to press that chord with your entire finger and, play the rest with your other fingers. Those are more difficult. These are just open shapes with just a couple fingers playing fretted down on a couple of these strings. Like this, I have 2 fingers, or I have 3 fingers fretted. That's all we're doing today, so it's not quite as difficult here. So caged chords, very, very common, the easiest ones to do. Let's jump into it with the first chord. And for this first chord, I'm not going to start at C, the beginning of caged. I want to just go with the easiest one just to get that one out of the way. Let's practice some of the things we're going to be working on with all these chords with just this one here. And the easiest chord you can play is going to be an E chord. And for us, we're going to be playing an E minor chord. So when you play it, it is going to have that darker, sadder sound to it. There it is there, E minor. And we're going to play an E minor by playing all 6 strings for this one. And all of these chords are named after the root note. And for each of these, that is just the lowest note that is being played. And so your lowest string, which is just the lowest in pitch, is the E string. So I can play an E chord by just playing this E string open. So I'm not going to fret that one. That one's going to be played openly. And to get the rest of the notes to the E minor chord, I'm going to be pressing the 2nd fret on the 5th and 4th strings, also called the A and D strings. The 2nd and 3rd lowest ones up top here. So this is how I'm pressing it here. I have middle finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, and I have my other finger, my ring finger, on the string below that, also on the 2nd fret. And for these, you do want to just have these pressed up all the way against that little bar separating these frets, and that's how you correctly play these chords, as well as any notes on the guitar, in case you aren't familiar. Don't go in the middle, don't go towards the back side. Try to have it be all the way up against that bar as much as you can, and make sure you're getting a clean sound on each of those two. Okay? You shouldn't be sounding flat or like a dead note. You want to make sure it does have a clear sound to it for all of them that we're playing. The ones you are fretting, as well as those surrounding notes, because your fingers could be bumping up against them and you don't even know it. And if your fingers are bumping up against those strings, you're not going to get a good sound out of it. So that is E minor chord. Make sure you can start to be able to play that one. Again, I use middle finger, ring finger, just like that. 2nd fret for both of them. Okay, and I'll put a tab picture up for each of these chords so you can be able to follow along pretty easily as well too. E minor, first one down. Next up, I will now go back to going in order. Let's go ahead and do the C chord. That one's gonna sound just like that. So for the C chord, again, named after the lowest note we play, which is C. There is no C string on the guitar, so we get that low C by pressing the 3rd fret of the 5th string or the A string on your guitar. That's C right there. So for this chord, we do not play the E string, the low E string we don't play. We're just gonna play C on that string right there, our 5th string. And that's gonna be our root note here. And then other than that, we are gonna be fretting the 2nd fret on the 4th string, also the D string there. So far I have 3rd fret, 2nd fret. Okay, string below that we're gonna play openly. The one below that, though, we are gonna fret on the 1st fret. So it is the 2nd string, 1st fret. And then 1st string, which is that the highest E sound we can get, we also play openly. So 3 strings fretted, 2 strings open. And that's gonna be like this. And this one is a C major chord. So when we do see this one written, it's just gonna be a C, versus the minor chords, when we do see them written, it'll have a little M next to it to show that it's minor. We assume it's major if it's just with the letter. We have a little M to indicate when these are minor. So for E minor, we would have E with a little M. C major, we just put that C. Or we could put M-A-J or write out major as well too. So again, here's what I'm playing. Not hitting that low E string, that 6th string. I'm just playing C there, which is the 3rd fret of the A string. I'm playing 2nd fret of the 4th string or the D1. Openly for the next. 1st fret on the next. Openly on the last one. So I have 3, 2, open, 1, open. All together. And same thing for all these. Make sure you're getting a clean sound on each of those strings. Like that. C is done. Let's go to the next one. Next one up is A. So we've done E, we've done C, this one is A. This A chord is going to be an A minor. So when we do see it written, it's going to be A with a little M next to it for that A minor. We want to find that A root note, which is just going to be playing the A string openly. We can play that A. So this is another chord where we do not play all 6 strings. We're not going to play that 6th string, that really low E string. So we're going to play open on the A string here. And then other than that, we are going to play the 2nd fret on the D string, which is the 4th one there just below the A one. 2nd fret on the one below that as well too. And then 1st fret on the one after that. And then openly for the final one. So going down, we're not playing this low E string. We are playing open, 2nd, 2nd, 1st, open. So we should be looking just like that for this one. And so I have my middle finger on that 1st one right here. And then I have ring finger on the one below it right there. And then I'm using my index finger here to fret this last one over here on the 1st fret. Okay, minor chord, so this one does have that a bit sadder sound to it. And we can test it out by going back to the C as well too. A bit happier, a bit sadder. Okay? So that is A minor, and we can always check that one again by play all those strings individually, make sure we got a clean sound, and we're good to go. Next up is G. G chord, we gotta find that G root note again. We're gonna get that low G sound by playing the 3rd fret of the low E string. That is G, that's how this chord gets its name. And then we're gonna play 2nd fret on the A string right below it, openly on these 3, and we are gonna play the 3rd fret on that high E string down here. Okay, so this one's a little bit trickier, a little bit harder to get a clean sound for. I am gonna be using ring finger, middle finger, and then pinky on this one right here. And I just want to make sure my pinky's pressed all the way down as close to that bar line as I can be. And I can check all my fingers here. For these top fingers especially, make sure to lift it off as straight as possible so they're not going to rub up against the strings below them. That's the trickiest part with this G string, and this one might be the hardest one we play here. G major. Got it. Last chord. Last one is the D chord. D chord we are going to be playing is a D major chord. And let's find that root note of D. We're going to do that by playing the D string openly. So this one's only going to be 4 strings. We are not playing the E, not playing the A. We are starting with the D string open to play this D major chord. After that, we are going to play 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. So we have open on the D, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd. So all together, a nice, pleasant major chord played with D. So just to review all of these here really quick, let's go all the way back to C. Let's go all the way through these caged chords. So C was C major. Skip this E. We play 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open, 1st, open. That's all of them there. A minor. We skip that E again. Play open A. 2nd, 2nd, 1st, open, A minor. G. We played this root note of G on the low E string, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open, 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 3rd fret with that pinky. G major. E minor, low E, played openly as the root note, 2nd fret, 2nd fret, open, 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 E minor. Last one we just did was D. We skip E, we skip A, we just start playing on D right here. We play D, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. D major. And that is all of them. So we got these chords. How do we use them? I'll cover that a bit more in later lessons. What I would want you guys to practice for right now is just switching between these different chords. Because in songs that are going to be played out, what you're going to get is, if they do stick to these chords, they're typically picking anywhere between 2 and 4 of them that they're just going to loop and loop and loop throughout the whole song. For example, out of those 5 chords, I can pick 4 of them. And let's say I just pick C, A, E, G. I pick those 4 chords, and what I'm going to do for my song is just repeat those 4 chords throughout the entirety of the song if I'm just a nice simple songwriter like that. C, A, E, G. All throughout my song, repeat, repeat throughout the verse, repeated throughout the chorus. I probably have some kind of a rhythm going along with it. Just repeats through the whole song. That's typically what guitarists will do when playing with the cage system. Just pick 4 of those chords, figure out the order they want them to go in, which of those 4 are going to sound the nicest for them to write whatever song that they're trying to write. So for you guys, what I would want you to practice is just switching between those chords in different orders as fast as you can. For the cage system, have fun playing.